FooRay and Chamba, the two hosts. If I may, I'm thinking that you chose the best thing. If you like them nerd shows and all of these movies. What up, Chipper Chap? This is Chipper Chap Chat.
What up, Chipper Chaps? This is Chipper Chap Chat, episode 154.
154.
Of the Chipper Chap Chat podcast. I am FooRay.
I'm Chamba.
And we are two brown dudes talk about nerdy shit. And we've been gone for a grip. And being gone for a grip means that we had a whole lot of MCU stuff come out. An entire, well, not an entire, but we'll call it all of Phase 4 because we haven't talked about any of it. But I guess Phase 4 actually has quite a bit left. So so we could talk about the first half of Phase 4 that we haven't talked about.
Question. How long does the phases normally last for?
Multiple years. I know that. Because Phase 3 was 2016 to 2019, and Phase 2 was 2013 to 2015. Phase 1 was 2008 to 2012. So 3 to 4 years usually.
Okay.
Usually, but Phase 2 was very short.
And it was weird because, like, before we started recording, you just brought up a point where it's like, oh yeah, 2020 was just empty.
Nothing. Yeah. Because it was literally supposed to be Spider-Man Far From Home came out in like November or something. And then, no, Spider-Man Endgame came out. And then Spider-Man Far From Home came out.
Yep.
And then it was supposed to be Black Widow like right after that.
All right.
And Black Widow right after that, and then Eternals. And then both of those movies got pushed an entire year.
In saying that, now that we've already seen these films, how different would it have been if those came out when it was supposed to?
I mean, for Black Widow, it would have been a lot different because, you know, that one spawned like a lawsuit and shit because ScarJo thought that she got shafted out of money because they didn't do it theatrically. They put it on Disney Plus. Like
the streaming.
The whole Disney Plus thing was not a thing when we were on this podcast last.
It's
none of it was there. Maybe The Mandalorian had started.
I don't remember. All I know is that the pandemic definitely kicked off a lot of the streaming stuff. Like, it was a necessity. They were forced to do it. But it kind of... I know that while they were forced to do it, it really did show them that they can do it this way.
Yeah, especially on the movie side.
Yeah.
They really forced their hand.
Yeah. Interesting.
Just the order of how we would have gotten stuff would have been so different. Like
the scheduling, the timing of things.
Right, like WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier were supposed to come out in 2020, and I believe both of those were supposed to come out after Black Widow, and because I think WandaVision dropped first, right?
Yeah, WandaVision came out on January 2021.
Right, but that wasn't supposed to be the case.
Right.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier was supposed to be first.
Really?
But that one they had to actually do like pandemic reshoots and stuff. Because, well, the theory is everyone thought that they had to do reshoots because too much of the plot was similar to what was going on in the world. Like, if you remember Falcon and Winter Soldier,
the terrorism.
There's a big plot line about the terrorists stealing vaccines.
Yeah.
And like people being quarantined and stuff after the snap.
It was kind of like almost too close.
Right. It was art imitating life in a weird way, and they were like, well, let's not touch on that. And so some stuff got reworked. Like in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, there was a character that was pivotal to one of the villains of the Flag Smashers called Madani.
Okay.
And they hired like a really well-known actress to play that part. Her part is gone. She's dead in the entire series in the version that we got. But I don't think that was gonna be the case.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, it is weird. I mean, the show still turned out pretty good considering all that stuff.
Yes.
You know, because it had a moment, like the whole viral thing with why can't I think of his fucking name? I keep wanting to call him Killmonger. Baron Zemo.
Oh,
They had the whole thing.
I wasn't sure who you were talking about. That's why I was like,
Right.
I don't want to say a name
Yeah.
because I don't know who you're referring to right now.
Yeah, they had the whole viral thing of him dancing in the club or
Yep.
whatever. They got like 10-hour version of it, and I remember just the week to weekness of it
Right,
started
right.
to really pick up for people.
Do you want to start talking about it in sequence or release order? As far as what
We
got?
might as well. We might as well start with WandaVision.
Yeah, because WandaVision was the first thing to drop off, even before any of the films. If anything, the films kind of happened after 3 series already happened, really.
Right.
Which
Which
is-
wasn't supposed to be the
Right,
case.
yeah.
But that's how it worked out.
But in a way, like, Phase 4 doesn't necessarily... I think even in the previous phases, really, like, did they come out in... No, they didn't come out in chronological order.
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
Though I do
For the most part,
remember
for the most part.
Black Widow was supposed to be the first movie of was supposed to be the first thing of Phase 4.
Okay.
Because all it was supposed to be was the answer to what
Right,
happened
right.
in Endgame.
Yeah, okay. So the first thing was WandaVision,
Yeah.
which was
And
a departure.
it was. And we talked about
Yeah.
WandaVision on the on the previous episodes when it was in pre-production, when they were filming and stuff.
Yeah. And we're like, what the hell is this gonna be about? Like, this could be awesome. And I mean, looking back at it, it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I quite like that show. I still feel like it was a one-of-a-kind thing as far as Marvel's concerned. They've not done anything else that compares to it.
It was the most unique. It was kind of risky when you think about it, because being the first thing that is MCU on the platform that is Disney Plus, it was
Right.
kind of a risk because it didn't feel like anything that came out prior to it. And while it did feature characters that we already had seen, we hadn't seen them in this kind of way.
Right. And I think had it come out how it was supposed to, where Black Widow came out and then Falcon and the Winter Soldier came out, and then WandaVision, that would have been like a break from that.
Yeah.
Like, because it would have been like, yeah, the MCU's still going. Now we know what's going on with Black Widow. That answers a thing with fucking the chick from Seinfeld.
Yeah, I forgot her name. I forgot her
I
character.
can't remember her.
Yeah.
I can't remember her dumb name in the Marvel
Yeah.
universe, but she shows up as like bad guy Nick Fury
Yeah.
in that movie, and then is supposed to, if it came out in the right order, she was supposed to immediately show up in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and then we'd be like, oh, that's how it's. Or
Yeah.
actually, Falcon and the Winter Soldier was supposed to come out first.
Yeah, we see her there
then
first. and
then Black Widow, and you're supposed to kind of make that connection. But because WandaVision came out first, like, we got this wild, like, I almost felt like it was it's not what they planned on, but I feel like it's almost the best case scenario of what could have happened, because that show was so unique. It was pulling people in, like, oh, what is this? What do you think it's about? What's going on? And especially because in WandaVision, so much of the story is like, there's no fan character, but there's a bunch of characters that kind of play the role of the fans, where they're like watching the show, coming up with theory crafting, ruling things out, you know. Plus, WandaVision, you know, it gave me something that I've been waiting for a long time as a Marvel head, which was, one, they started to hint at Wanda being Scarlet Witch.
Yes.
Which
to me, yeah, we've been waiting.
they've never touched on
Yeah.
it. They just been like, she's kind of a witch, she's
Yeah.
kind of scary, but they didn't have there was no magic. They never said that. They just said in Age of Ultron, they were like, she's kind of spooky and weird, and
Yeah.
he's fast.
She's gifted.
Right.
Yeah.
And, you know, they were the miracles.
Yes.
There a lot of, like, you know, a lot of quotations being used in that one without using the actual words. And in WandaVision was the first time that they've kind of hinted at the greater
Potential of the character.
the potential of what that character can do, without saying, you know, this is a mutant and her
Yes.
dad's a mutant and her brother was a mutant. They set up a lot of things and started tapping on that window. And now, like, with Doctor Strange 2 coming out, I'm ready for that thing to bust wide open.
Dude, we got a month, man.
We do. What did you think of WandaVision's first few episodes with the you know, the jumping through the eras as far as sitcoms? Do you feel like they did that well?
I think they did it well, and I also think because it was released on a weekly basis, it got a lot of people talking and a lot of people interested in the show that wasn't necessarily interested to begin with.
Right.
You know, they knew of the character again from the previous Marvel films, and then the buzz. There's a lot of talk, and
didn't they put up the first two?
Yeah, I believe I think it was the first two, and when they dropped it, but it was good because it got a lot of people actually invested in the character now, and I think because of that show, there's a lot more Wanda fans, way more Wanda fans than she's ever had. And
I know my girlfriend was saying she used to hate Wanda because we ran through the MCU trying to catch her up. And she used to hate Wanda. She said, you know, she would just show up and like break some stuff and then, you know, talk weird and bounce.
But now?
And WandaVision was the first of, she's like, oh, there's more to her. She's actually powerful. She started to care about the relationship even between her and Vision. And so, like, she was starting to get it when I told her, because I told her at the beginning of the show, when I was a kid, Vision was my favorite Avenger. Like, I had other favorite Marvel characters, but of my favorite Avengers, Vision was it.
Yeah.
But I was like, I was always waiting for this white version of Vision that I didn't think we'd ever get.
Dude, when that thing showed up, I was like...
I super didn't think we were going to get it in this show.
No.
That was random.
No. Because I remember on previous episodes, we may have talked about, it's like, dude, could you imagine if, like,
I know we did.
Yeah, we were talking about speculating. It's like, dude, if they give us at least... If they can somehow explain giving us a white Vision, we'd be like, this is it. I expected it in a movie somehow, somewhere down the road.
I thought it was going to be simpler. Just his body died.
Yes,
they rebuilt him. He's white.
This is what they did here. Way cool. And I think because when we were talking about it appearing in a film back then, we weren't really sure what the series, what the TV shows would have offered us. But now that, you know, obviously like going through all the shows that they've done already, vastly different. It's almost like it's sort of limitless in a way what they can do in these shows to push these characters forward. Now, I think that the main thing though is like if they do reappear in a film, it is somewhat important in a way to have seen the series.
I imagine that it couldn't do anything but help to have seen WandaVision before seeing Doctor Strange 2.
Absolutely. But I think a lot more people are now invested in Doctor Strange 2 because of that.
Oh, yeah, fully.
Like
me included, and I'm a fan of this shit.
Right. Like, we already liked Doctor Strange. We already were excited about Doctor Strange. Now, in the sequel. But the people who had watched, who were just coming off of, say, WandaVision, who weren't probably interested at all in Doctor Strange or the sequel, are now going to watch, even if it's specifically for her, they're still going to go watch it now. Which is going to be a win regardless, but that film looks bonkers.
Yeah, that's a win for Marvel.
Yeah. The way they ended that one was good too, but now it's like when that one finished though, I didn't know what to expect anymore from moving forward. Like the next one was Falcon and Winter Soldier. That one came in March, so just 2 months after WandaVision was Falcon and Winter Soldier. I figured that one would be a little bit more grounded because obviously it's Falcon and Winter Soldier, like kind of keeping in tone with a Captain America film. What did you think of that when it came out?
I think I was hoping that it would be like Winter Soldier, the movie Winter Soldier, kind of stretched out over 6 episodes or whatever. I think it ended up giving me more than I expected, especially as far as like I didn't think they would touch on the Isaiah Bradley Captain America backstory thing.
That was cool.
Did not think they would touch that at all, and I love that they did. I hope that they really do that. I hope there's like a flashback movie or something, and we get to see that for real.
Or even if not a movie, just even a show.
Yeah, even still, I would watch it. Yeah, whatever they decide to do, I want to see that. I think that I wasn't sure what to expect for this, only because they put WandaVision first, and there was so many. Because ever since Phase 4 has started, it's all been about, okay, how are we getting into the multiverse? Everyone knows we're going, but how are we getting there? They teased it in Spider-Man Far From Home, and that ended up being bullshit. Then they teased it again in WandaVision. That ended up being bullshit, maybe.
Maybe. But then in Winter Soldier, in the Falcon Winter Soldier, didn't touch it.
Nothing. Didn't even hint at it, which I think worked for that show.
Yes.
And I think it's partially because that show was supposed to come out first.
Right. As opposed to the build up, it was almost like,
right.
But it's like by doing it this way, by releasing it this way, it's almost making us as viewers question it and want it more.
Right.
You know, because it's like,
I agree.
You hinted at it. Where are we going to see that? And it's like, wait, you didn't. But okay, well, it's a good show still. You know.
But I think it's making a lot of people second guess themselves,
which is good.
Which is good. It's incredibly good. But I can't help but also feel like because it wasn't intended, that Falcon and Winter Soldier thing just felt like a big meanwhile slap right in the face. Meanwhile.
that's basically, honestly, if the start of the series had that little meanwhile.
Yeah, I would have been for it.
To be fair, I'd be like, yes, this is happening, or this has happened. Although the thing right now is that because it was released in its order, I need to find a list eventually, when I can be more interested, I suppose. Find a list of what the chronological time is, as opposed to.
Oh, I'm sure they have.
Yeah, I'm sure it exists. I'm just now off the top of my head, I have no idea. But
some of those we might have to wait for these to be over before people can put that chronological order together. Yeah, because especially once you get to Loki,
that one,
I have no idea where that one takes place, and I think that's kind of the point, is it takes place between time.
I think
But because of what happens at the end of that show could have been that show could have happened before Spider-Man No Way Home, or it could have happened at the exact same time as all those purple rifts were opening, or it could happen after.
I'm thinking it's part of it. I'm thinking a lot of it is it's part of it. But all right, we'll finish off the Falcon and Winter Soldier. Did you like how the characters grew in that show?
I liked. I thought it was cool that we ended up showing the Falcon version of Cap. If you would have said that was where they were going when the character was announced and Anthony Mackie was cast, I don't think I would have assumed that's where we would be. Same. A few years later, we would have that version of Cap. Didn't think so.
Yeah.
Bucky, I thought he had a few good scenes, like seeing him when they did the flashback and he's killing all the dudes and accidentally kills the Asian guy, and that's kind of his backstory with the old Asian dude. I thought those scenes were cool. I really loved the scene where he is broken out of the brainwashing by not Okoye, but one of the other Dora Milaje. I can't remember her name.
I forgot her name too.
But even that scene, really incredibly well done. However, I feel like the focus was more on Falcon, because it was all about Cap and how he fits into that equation. I wish they would have had Bucky maybe want it a little more, because he very clearly has a stance at the beginning of it should have been Sam's. Steve gave it to Sam. I'm mad that Sam doesn't have it, and I feel like a little bit they should have had him have a little bit of want for that, because just to hint at the history of Bucky as Cap, just let us have a little bit of that. But I think they just went right to it. Even the training montage stuff of him doing flips and throwing the shield against the trees and shit. Bucky should have been there. He should have been in a part of that.
A part of the training, at least, at the very least.
He's the only super soldier
Right.
He should have been part of that experience, especially now that you're maybe battling another super soldier version of Cap with Walker, who I can't think of the first name of. But what did you think of that version? What did you think of U.S. Agent getting a play on?
I think it's cool. It was nice that it's kind of the whole, what's an Iron Man villain is just another Iron Man type deal. I get it,
for sure.
I think it's cool because it is kind of like two sides of the coin at this point, where Falcon. Which, again, it kind of plays with the title Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It really was that way in the show. It's the focus is Falcon and the Winter Soldier is part of it. I mean, he gets his stuff too. A lot of the therapy stuff was great.
Right.
A whole lot of But yeah, the whole Walker. Is it John?
John Walker. I kept wanting to call him Paul Walker, and it's fucking me up.
Yeah, John Walker. It's good because he was really, like, he desperately wanted to be Cap.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
but he had confliction.
Yeah.
About being Cap,
Yes.
but he loved being in that authority.
Yes.
He liked to dote that shit around. He'd be like, I'm basically the law.
Yeah.
You know, I'm
like,
basically the government.
I am Captain America.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, it was strange because he did seem like he understood the weight of that, but once he was in the suit, he was like, I'm the government. You know, it was strange, but I feel like fitting how they played that.
Yeah. He did a great job. He did a great job.
The shield murder when he like decapitates the dude.
Mm-hmm.
I even thought that was fitting that he didn't really get punished for that.
Yes, because he is Captain America.
You're right. It seemed fitting.
Yeah.
If you're gonna have this dude, maybe he goes off and does something crazy, and then we just go, oh, you know, it's Captain America. You gotta let him walk up on stage and slap somebody occasionally.
It was a good thing though, in a way where I'm like, it kind of harkens back to the first Avenger film, where it's like, you know, it's about you got to be a good man, not really a good soldier.
Speaking of Cap 1, one of the things I loved, small detail, was, and they don't go out of their way to point it out, but I thought it was a great small detail. Cap 1, he's in the like suit, the dumb suit where he's selling the guns or whatever, the OG suit. Mm-hmm. He leaves, goes and rescues all those POWs. Isaiah Bradley tells a story where he did the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And rather than turning him into a hero, which is what they did for Cap, they imprisoned him for 30 years.
Yeah.
For doing the exact same thing Cap did and going and saving prisoners of war. I loved that detail. Yeah. It was so small. They don't go back to it. It was just, oh man, I was like, wow, that is some realistic shit. I can't imagine. I just couldn't believe a lot of the stuff that was happening. I just couldn't believe it was Disney doing it. I was like, wow.
That's the part, yeah. It's
you
like
had Captain America decapitate someone in public.
Yeah,
you
didn't show it, but it happened.
Right, but everyone knows what happened. Absolutely. They showed blood all over the shield. Yeah. You know, just the image of the shield with blood on it
is wrong.
Yeah, it's different enough of an image where I was like, wow, Disney, good for you.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable. Although I did read something earlier today where they are editing blood out of scenes in some of the Disney Plus shows.
Really? Yeah. I just saw something where they said the Netflix stuff went up and they didn't edit anything.
I just read something, like briefly read it today. Because people are talking about, it's like, you shouldn't do this. It's like, now it's like it's so that when kids watch it, they don't get as it's not so bad. But then somebody was saying, it's like, I think you should show that it is bad and it's not a good thing. They need to understand the repercussions of certain things. Do you know what I mean? Like, don't censor it because you're afraid of showing it to them. Leave it in there because they're supposed to understand that it's not, that they should be afraid of that. But anyway,
I'm very curious now. Yeah. I'm gonna have to go back and watch it because I looked it up just now when you were mentioning it, and I'm wondering if the intent is to have censored versions that will be available for the people who don't do the parental guidance thing.
Oh, okay. If that's the case, all good. I didn't really look into it further, but that was something that I briefly saw. But all right, after Falcon and Winter Soldier was Loki. That one came out in June.
Right.
That one, no expectations.
Loki to me was also surprised because I had no idea what that was going to be, and by the time I was coming up with concepts of what I thought it was going to be, it had already shown me that it wasn't. That wasn't it. Just because when they started putting out promos, even in before they put out promos, I was like, well, we know he gets warped in the middle of Endgame to somewhere, and that'll be how it starts. And that was exactly how it started, which I thought was a cool detail. But after that, I was way off base on what I thought it was going to be him jumping throughout time and them being like, and people being like, you remember that crazy thing that happened that no one can explain. It was Loki. I thought it was going to be 8 episodes of that.
Yeah. I thought so too.
And there's like maybe 1 or 2 moments like that where he goes to Pompeii or something before that explodes, but he doesn't cause it.
No. And, he was just present.
Right, and they show that he was, oh man, I keep wanting to say DB Smooth, but he's I can't remember his name now. The dude that jumped from the plane with a bunch of money and shit. He was a real guy. I can't think of his name now. But like that was a cool detail, and I was like, they're gonna keep doing that, and it wasn't that. It ended up like I wouldn't have seen okay, maybe Lady Loki. I would have seen them eventually attempting.
Same.
This version of Lady Loki didn't see that coming at all, and that they would go, oh, and here's 4 or 5 more Lokis that you might remember. Classic comic book Loki, which was a standout to me. I fucking loved him.
Bonkers that they did that.
And like the kid Loki, I thought was cool that they included him, but he was kind of a nothing character to me.
He was kind of nothing.
The alligator was cool to see, even though that was also
it was cool just because it's an alligator.
All right.
That's really it.
It was cool even that they showed like the like other versions just as images. They showed like a giant blue frost giant version of Loki, which eventually showed up in another show, which we'll get to. But I thought that was cool as fuck too. All the little integrated things that Disney does with these Marvel projects, I just feel like they do it better there than they do it in any other shit they do.
Yeah.
It's incredible to me. Like, why isn't Star Wars this? I just don't even understand.
That's what I don't understand. I don't get it. Yeah, I don't know. But Loki, what a wild ride that was.
Yeah, I thought that was cool.
We got a first introduction to that one character. The one in the end.
Oh, the He Who Remains.
Yeah.
Which is a potential version of Kang.
Yes.
Because we know that this guy is playing Kang.
Exactly.
So He Who Remains would be a version of that character.
The thing that this show kind of made me feel in regards to just the Marvel universe in general is like, so because a lot of this is happening beyond time, really, how important, like, because they showed the whole Infinity Gems, right? The Infinity Stones. In their area, every universe has their own, and in this area, they're all nothing. They're all like paperweights.
You're right. Because I guess they're in the TVA exists somewhere in between dimensions or something,
right,
where the stones hold no power. Which I kind of feel like is a little bit a reference to how they work in the comics.
Right.
In the comic books, the Infinity Stones only work in the dimension they are from. Yes. If you take them to another dimension, they don't work. They might have their own Infinity Stones there, but you'd have to find those to be able to use them. So I feel like a little bit it was kind of a play on that. I know some people were upset by that. They were like, you spent 10 years doing a saga about these stones, and now you just made them nothing.
Well, no, there's still something within the universe.
The thing is, they just don't work there.
Yeah, it's just... Now, I'm curious regarding this whole beyond area. Is that where Dormammu lies? Or is that in a specific other universe?
No, I think Dormammu's from the dark dimension, whatever the fuck that means, is in regard to the Marvel universe. The dark dimension is one specific place.
That dimension. So
that's where Dormammu kicks it.
Is that like, does the TVA once, do they exist in a plane that the dark dimension doesn't really affect them either, though? That's what I'm just wondering.
I would have to imagine that's how it has to work. If the Infinity Stones don't work there, yeah. I have to imagine any of that shit doesn't work because Loki couldn't use his magic.
It just seems like if you're in that area and you are powerful in that area, that is a lot of power.
But that's why I'm confused by it, because it seemed like really that area is just about having a lack of power. There's no supreme power.
But what about
there's just some people with sticks.
He who remains. What is
He's not particularly powerful. You never see him do anything.
True. And also, he's not from there. He is
right.
from
He's from another world.
Right, he's from a world, and he's just, it's almost like purgatory.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what this nothing.
That's where they kick it.
Is.
Yeah.
Okay. Great show though, Loki, and it, like the whole cracking of the thing. I was like, oh.
Right. So basically, at the end of that, Sylvie kills He Who Remains, basically unleashing what will become the multiverse. And in his explanation, we don't know if he's a reliable narrator yet.
That's true, which is good.
In his explanation, there had always been multiverses, and they went into constant war. And he was the one who stopped that from being the case by pruning the right people and keeping everything to one timeline so it couldn't spread out and start the multiversal war again. Sylvie kills him at the end of the thing, even with his forewarning, and essentially reopens the multiverse.
Because basically, the thing that would cause the war is just versions of him.
Right.
And technically now, the next time we'll see him is just, it's not going to be the one that we saw in Loki, but the other him, really, which is...
Do you think a version of that character is on the Illuminati Council in Doctor Strange 2?
That's what I was thinking.
Do you think it would be Kang, though?
I don't think it would be.
That's... Because they've got to start hinting at the Kang stuff soon, because he's in Quantumania, the next Ant-Man flick, and I think that one is beginning of next year or something.
Yeah, he can't just appear in Quantumania and be like, oh, Kang, he's the main guy now.
Right.
Like, he has... Like, they've already...
They've got to start putting stuff down.
They've already laid the foundation in Loki. You have to show him... This Doctor Strange film is... I don't know what to expect from it. And the thing is, like, I know people have a lot of theories and whatnot online. That's fun, but that matters nothing to me. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Because, like, theories, like whenever someone has a theory and it's like, oh, they got it right, it's like, oh, I knew it. I'm like, well, if you know the comics, then, and if that's what they're taking from, then of course you're going to know it.
For sure, but even then, you can't call that a for sure bet, because they've always taken the comics and then, like, bent them all up and been like, okay, here we go, it's something new.
I like this, and then I'm just gonna add my own little thing, because, you know, we're also has
which
to make
I
sense
appreciate.
with it. Yeah, I love it.
Right.
So yeah, after Loki, which was wild, finally came the first film, which was Black Widow.
I don't know what I was expecting for this one. I think because of where it fit in and the character already being dead, I was expecting them to do something kind of bonkers just to be like, this is why this movie was necessary. I don't think they did anything bonkers enough to justify why the film was made. They didn't even include the one cameo to me that would have made the most sense, which was Hawkeye. They didn't have his involvement, even like a flashback to fucking Budapest or whatever. And they managed to they didn't ruin it, but they managed to like wet fart a character out that I was excited about. Because I love Taskmaster. I was like expecting Taskmaster to be fucking cool, because I like Taskmaster. He's got a sick ability. And I was like, I could just imagine how they could continue to use a character like Taskmaster in this universe. And then you just heard like,
yeah.
And then like they're like, it's the daughter of Dreykov or whatever. Remember Dreykov's daughter?
It's weird, like, when they showed her face, and I'm like, she's still pretty in a way. It's weird.
Right,
you know?
right. She's
not
as deformed as
I was like, because the actress is gorgeous, so it's like, she doesn't look bad.
Right. Not as bad as they should have went if it was supposed to be as tragic as it was.
I thought you were gonna go Dark Man on that shit, but no.
Right. She should just look like Freddy Krueger on that thing.
Just like skin.
Yeah, but no, they didn't do that. I guess they couldn't have went like realistic burn victim because then that would have been
that's offensive,
dicey, right?
Yeah, that's offensive.
But is it? I don't know. Like that's such a weird line because isn't it cooler if you're like, this is really what a burn victim looks like. We turn this person into like a superhero type form.
I don't know.
But they're like, nah, because it's the bad guy. Fuck you.
You're right. Oh yeah, that's actually you brought up a good point there. It's a bad guy. We can't depict that as a bad guy.
Right. You can have deformities and shit as a good guy.
Yeah.
Although Echo kind of the same abilities
but
her character deformed.
That's true.
They never explain it. She just like she's missing a leg.
I don't know if you can call it missing a leg deformed.
It is if she was born that way.
No. Is it
because they never say that like she got injured. They show her as a child she already didn't have a leg.
Is the term deform a negative term? I don't even know anymore.
I don't know. I thought it was like just a descriptor. Like you are, the form is.
I don't know. I get it. Yeah. I understand it. It's just, I don't understand how anyone's gonna take it. That's what I don't understand. But
it's got to be a tricky thing.
To me, that the character was that in name only. In ability, it was there too. Yeah. Taskmaster, cool design. I think Taskmaster was depicted really cool in the scenes and like fight scenes.
The action scenes were fine.
But as far as the character, I'm like, oh, really?
Yeah, I think that was the only thing that made it a wet fart was just being like, remember Dreykov's dog? I just hated that. Yeah. If you just never showed the character's face, just a mercenary can copy your shit.
I would have been way cooler because that would have basically been the Boba Fett.
Yeah, he could just show up, do some cool shit, and then bounce. And you'd be like, well, I guess this character's in the universe somewhere. Can't wait to see how they use him next. And instead, you got... And now it's fucking hit. I don't know. I just didn't... That was kind of the only thing that rubbed me the wrong way. That and the... They did the whole, like, Weinstein thing with with Dreykov. Yeah. Where they're like, and he brings you to his office, and he insinuates he's got control, and he's gross and greasy. It was just so on the nose for when the movie came out that I was just like, ugh, because she's a lady, I guess. Yeah. I don't know. It just wasn't my favorite thing
what is one of the best weapons in the world? Women.
Right.
It's like, okay.
Yeah, because they've got secret perfume that makes them good again. I don't know. It was just some of that shit they do like in movies about women heroes that just is annoying to me. Where they're like, even like old school ones like Catwoman, they're like, and the villain is makeup. Yeah, I don't know. It's just so fucking.
I forgot about that.
I just hate that kind of shit.
But there were some cool scenes in this film. It's definitely like honestly, I wouldn't have paid to watch this in a cinema, even if it was in a cinema, so I'm glad.
True. I forgot I ended up just watching it at home.
Did I watch? I think I did watch it in the cinema, though.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because the cinemas opened up, and I was just jazzed to watch something.
Right. And I don't think that it was even available in the cinemas here. It was like right as shit was cracking off.
I think I did watch that in the cinema because I'm like, I just want to go to cinema again.
Oh, can't blame you. Yeah. I would have if it was available.
And to be honest, it was cool in the cinema. The story in the end, it's like it kind of does. Like we got introduced to Elena.
Right,
and that's cool.
There's some really good action in it as well.
Great action.
As far as like the hand-to-hand combat stuff, I liked a lot of the characters. Even
that bridge scene,
as far as her family.
That bridge scene was sick.
A lot of cool shit. And sick. If I remember correctly, Black Widow, technically, the movie had our first MCU mutant in it. Because the prison that they go to get out, like Russian Captain America dude, there's a guy there that he's like arm wrestling that they said his name in the credits, and they didn't even have to give him a name, but they said his name in the credits, and he's a character who can turn into a big ass bear in the comics. He's a mutant.
All right.
So I don't know if the intention is just start like sprinkling little shit so they can be like mutants have been here, or what. I just don't know what the intent is yet.
Unless it was just like Easter egg.
Because if we're supposed to get Deadpool, which I almost guarantee he's in Doctor Strange too.
Yeah.
If we're supposed to get Deadpool, he's part of a universe where mutants are already a thing. So I'm curious how we are going to make this happen. Like, I don't want to speculate too much because I'm sure they're going to do something real wacky and wild because, they can't do what they actually did in the books because House of M, I feel like the closest we're going to get to House of M is what WandaVision was.
Yes.
And so I can't imagine them just being like, well, suddenly now, like, Omega Red is, he's kicking it and fucking Juggernaut's here. I don't know. We'll see how they end up working that out. Because, like, Deadpool's universe, he's got Colossus, he's got Juggernaut. Juggernaut said that Charles is his brother. Or he didn't say Charles, but he said my brother's in a wheelchair and he reads my mind. I feel like that's pretty much saying
pretty on the nose. Yep.
Right. So, I'm very curious how that's all going to work itself out. But, yeah, I was quite impressed with how that one turned out.
That was great. After Black Widow came the What If. That was
What if to me is kind of the first real answer to what happened in Loki because they start showing us the other universes. But that show also not as anthology as I was expecting. I thought it was just going to be a bunch of random stories unconnected to each other.
It all
and then they were
connected
like, nope,
yeah.
these are your multiversal Avengers, which... Okay, so the cool thing about that concept, and we'll talk about the episodes as well, but the concept of putting a team together from all over the multiverse and whatnot.
Yeah.
We were talking the other day on the other episode about how they do their testing grounds in the comics.
Yes.
There is an Exiles team that is run by Peggy Carter's version of like the Captain Britain, Peggy Carter, Captain Britain.
Yep.
They basically set up a premise where Peggy Carter could run a team of multiversal Avengers. If they called it Exiles, would be pretty neat, and especially if they work that in of like these are characters who are exiled from their dimensions or whatever, their multiversal dimensions. Now we have a team that's just bouncing around from universe to universe doing shit. I'm about that movie, whatever the fuck that movie is, with Haley Atwell, Captain America type character.
Yeah.
I'm watching that shit.
Yeah.
I'm watching that shit big time.
Yeah. If they don't appear against Kang in the end, why did you do this?
Very true. Like, how do you do like a multiversal Avengers and then don't have them
appear
face off against Kang?
Something.
Another question, because Kang is Kang, he's in an Ant-Man movie.
Yeah.
Ant-Man lose this movie?
He's gonna.
Because I just don't like it's the third one.
I think Ant-Man, he faces Kang, but he doesn't succeed in stopping him.
Right.
And that's when it's like, okay, now it's almost like you've defeated level 1 Kang. Prepare for level 2 kind of deal. You know what I mean? Like
seriously,
power. He's a power up. Like, oh, that was a nothing. You may have won this, but I'm beyond this. I am beyond.
That's kind of the coolest part about the whole Kang thing. The way that he described it is he was like, whatever bad you think I am, there's way crazier, worse versions of me out there.
That's why
I
love
that idea.
I
is
love
like
that.
He can come back and play multiple versions of this character. I want to see that. That could be like Orphan Black on like the
pretty
craziest
much.
fucking scale.
And the thing is, I think that's what's going to be. The Kang that we'll see isn't actually the big bad Kang.
Right.
It's just
Kang
another version.
Conquer.
Yeah, it's just a version of it that obviously, like you brought up, in He Who Will, what's his name?
He Who Remains.
He Who Remains. What he does is pretty bad, but he's doing it for a reason.
So glad you brought that up again. He Who Remains. He is a descendant
of Reed.
He's a descendant of Reed. He says he's Jonathan Richards or something. Or I think he says
something Richards. Yep.
So,
Mr. Fantastic is gonna be in the multiverse of madness then.
A lot of people, he's one of the characters who's in the Illuminati.
Why. Or is it
I just would be so surprised if they cast him and nobody found out. That's the thing.
I would love
Unless it's John Krasinski or whatever, which I don't think it is. Unless it's him, I just don't understand how you cast him and nobody knows.
I don't want it to be John Krasinski, one. But
I just know he wanted it and people wanted him for it.
Sure.
So, and I know they met with Marvel, but I don't know that they'd be like, yeah, they want you as this, so we'll pick you as this. But in a world where you can have like 70,000 versions of Reed, do you think they would show us a variant of Reed that doesn't look like the version of Reed we're going to get in the Fantastic Four movie before we get the Fantastic Four movie?
Yeah,
I just would be so surprised.
That's why it would be weird. I'm like, so you're introducing Reed Richards in a not Fantastic Four movie where the thing is you can introduce him there and kill him.
Mm-hmm.
And then the one that we do see is... That's why I'm like, when there's speculative talk, it's like, oh, it's going to be Patrick Stewart. He's Professor X.
Yeah.
If this is the case, if he is Professor X, I don't want him to be the MCU Professor X. Just the one that appears in this and eventually that's it. This is it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, whether or not he dies or not, doesn't matter. Doesn't concern me. I just don't want this one to be the version that is MCU version. That's all.
Right. I agree.
That's all.
I agree. And with that in mind, I think one of the more interesting things they could do, other than the Krasinski thing, is just get the dude who played him in the old like Alba fucking movies.
Ian Griffith, I think his name is. Yeah.
Right.
He played a good one. I'll be honest. He was good.
He was fine. Just the effects looked bad.
Well, yeah.
And I feel like if you bring him back now in a serious toned movie, I think he would do fine.
Yep.
And it does the thing to your brain, which is what Marvel's trying to do. Like, there's variants of these characters everywhere. Some of them you're gonna recognize,
but some you're not. And they already planted that seed with Loki.
Exactly. And if they did that when they brought him in, just that by itself implies so much crazy shit. Because if you see him, then that implies a version of that Johnny Storm is out there.
Yeah.
And everyone knows that's the same actor who plays Cap. And so if you know that these two characters have the same face and they're both canon in the same universe, that multiverse shit just gets more and more wild. I know that this is how the comics work, and so every time that they get closer to the comics, that's exciting to me. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm like, this is how the bubble pops, and everybody is like sick of comic book shit. Yeah. It's because you've got every possibility on screen.
Yeah, but I think it's cool, like in a way where essentially these films are just a variant of what the comic stories are. Really,
I know, and that's cool as fuck.
I love that.
Right.
Because whenever people go, oh, it's not like the comics, and I'm like, yeah, that's a good thing. The comics aren't like what the comics are.
Right.
They change shit up all the time. Yep. That's kind of what my problem is with comics now. I'm like, so what's canon exactly?
No one knows.
Right? Okay, so what if? Wild, loved it. They're doing a season 2. Cool.
And R.I.P. to Chadwick Boseman. That was his final Black Panther appearance.
Great performance there. After that, Shang-Chi in September.
Shang-Chi was good. I liked pretty much everything. I just felt like they went too CGI happy at the end. It would have been cooler if the last battle, because of Shang-Chi being like the ultimate martial artist in the MCU, the last battle should have just been straight up like crazy martial arts.
The coolest martial arts you've ever seen in a Marvel film. It should have been
right.
Instead of him riding a dragon,
instead
of him riding a dragon.
Exactly. Like the what do they call that shit? The like atrium fight from Matrix 2.
Yeah.
Where they're all with all the weapons on the walls and they're just kind of jumping around, fucking breaking shit. Just give me something where it's just in a room and it's dudes fighting. Bro, that's all I need to see.
If they gave me Kung Fu Hustle ending, tight.
Still, yeah.
Tight. That was amazing.
Kung Fu Hustle has a lot of insane shit in it that would work in an MCU style action thing.
That whole bloody scene where he's kicking off a bunch of those, thugs, and then he was fighting that frog, the toad guy. Right. Amazing. If that ended like that, I'd have been like, they got it.
That's why my favorite thing in Shang-Chi is the flashback of his dad fucking up the guys for revenge.
That was so
the
cool,
way he
dude.
was using those rings like a fucking gun or whatever. They were just blasting off his arms and wrecking people.
He did like
That shit was incredible.
did
That was my favorite
He
thing.
did rocket punches, basically.
Oh man,
You know,
I
and
loved
then
it.
whips as well. I was like, this is so cool. Like,
And I just saw they're changing this in the book now too. The Shang-Chi in the book now has like bracelets that float around him and shit. They're doing, I think, doing away with the ringy dingies.
after that, I like that film, by the way. I liked Shang-Chi. I thought it was a real
good.
fun film. It
I loved
it was a good
Abomination
first
being in
movie.
it. Was
Great. Yeah. Wong was in it too.
Mm-hmm.
Real cool. Like, what's going on now there?
I know they were like working together. Such a bizarre. Like they
But-
got to explain some of
But
that
that's what's
shit.
cool about it, where I'm like, I don't know what's going on, but I'm glad that the universe is still moving forward.
It's lived in now.
Yeah, it feels like it's alive, like things are
Yeah.
happening, which is fantastic. And then, like in the end of the post credit scene, where it's like, yeah, we don't
Yeah, we don't know where this shit comes from.
Yeah, we
Come
don't-
with us.
like, where are these rings from? We don't know what like, you know, you got Captain Marvel, and like, I've never seen anything like this. And
origin stories are
space.
alien.
Yeah, and
That's true. Do you think they're gonna be like other dimensional? And
but then
that's how
why are they
like,
functional here?
But that doesn't apply
true.
in this.
Actually, yeah, that's true, I suppose. Whatever.
So I'm curious if they'll just be like, it's from another like dimension, and
Well,
that's why we're
technically,
getting
when you think
Shang-Chi.
about it, his mum is from another dimension.
Very true. Very true.
That's why he's the blood of two worlds, technically.
Yep.
you know,
Very true.
Which I think is cool. Like I was talking to before, I was like, I don't know if anyone's actually brought that up. I was like, Shang-Chi is actually a child. Shang-Chi and his sister are children of two universes.
He's
which-
a multi-dimensional baby.
Which no one yet in the MCU is. Like
Right.
you got Peter Quill, who is the son of an alien and a human, but this is the son of somebody from another freaking universe.
Yeah.
That's gotta be something.
It's out there in a way we've not seen yet.
That's what I mean. Like no one's really like, oh, that is a weird thing, isn't it? It's like,
But I wonder if that'll be the reason why he continues to factor in when they do like a multiversal war and shit.
I reckon, and I also think that's probably why the rings would still work with him. Because of that connection to the other universe. Anyway, after that came out the Eternals.
And I didn't see Eternals until it dropped on Disney Plus.
I watched that one in the cinema.
Way later. Yeah, it was still cracking off with the quarantine shit here, so I did not go to that one.
What did you think of it, though?
I thought it was slow. I thought I liked very few characters, if any at all. I kind of liked Kumail's character.
I like his character, what it did in a way, like he kind of just
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna live in this world, but just essentially be my own grandfather's father.
Right, I'll
son.
just keep saying that
I'm me. I'm just gonna basically create a legacy of my family.
Yeah.
That part was fun.
So I loved that. I thought that was cool. I liked his little homie that followed him around,
Yeah.
bobbling his head and shit. He was pretty tight.
His manager.
Yeah, for the documentary crew. I thought that was great. The Blade cameo was dumb as shit. I didn't understand.
Problem with the Blade cameo, no one knew it was fucking Blade.
No, because they didn't show him.
That's the problem. You can't.
So you just have
can't
to-
just base it on a voice. He's not Patrick Stewart.
Right, and we've never seen a movie with him in it to
Exactly.
be like, oh, that's Blade's voice.
Exactly. It's like Samuel L. Jackson. We know his voice. He appeared in.
Right.
Like that's something. It's like, who was that? Who was that supposed to
Right.
be? You can't tell me after the fact. You know what? To me, that's why I'm like, that's a nothing yet. To me, that's a nobody.
Right.
Until
but
he appears properly and they make note of that.
supposedly that is set up for Midnight Suns-ish team.
I'm cool with that, but I'll wait till that happens. To me, that little
Agreed.
that little
But I
voice
didn't
cameo
know-
means nothing.
I didn't know Black Knight was a vampire hunter. I knew of the character Black Knight that what's his face, fucking Stark. What's his fucking name? Jon Snow's character, whatever his fucking name is in the movie. He becomes the Black Knight. I knew that character's design, but I'd never like read anything with him in it, so I didn't know he was a vampire hunter.
Obsidian blade and stuff like that.
Yeah, and so what's his face? Moon Knight.
Yeah.
The actor who plays Moon Knight, Oscar Isaac, he's been doing press for the show.
Yeah.
And people keep asking him, so are you teaming up with the Avengers? And every time they ask him, he says, no, probably like the Midnight Suns.
Yeah.
So I think a version of the Midnight Suns is coming. I don't know if it'll be a Disney exclusive thing,
right,
but some version of that with Moon
honest,
Knight, Blade, and
I'm for it.
Some other. Same.
I'm all for it. It's weird because after watching Eternals, by the time it finished and I knew what that character was supposed to be, I was like, I kind of just wanted it just to get more of the Black Knight character.
Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking at the end of that. I think I was just shocked at the pacing. It's not even like I hated anything. I just felt like the pacing would have been better as a Disney Plus show than a movie, where you could have just done one episode on each Eternal, and then one episode at the end where they all fucking meet up and fight the Deviants or whatever.
Because the Deviants, in all honesty, did jack shit.
They were nothing. They were nothing. They were just an excuse to be like, these characters are sort of like the Justice League. Look at them sort of vaguely doing Justice League things. One of them's fast, and one of them's Wonder Woman, and one of them's Superman.
Mind you, I did like how they depicted their abilities and whatnot. I thought it looked cool. I thought the fight scenes were actually handled quite well, too. It's just
I loved the lighting.
Oh, beautiful. I think the cinematography in this film was...
next level.
Very stellar. Like, the scope felt so grand.
Watching the assembled, the like making of episode for Eternals made me appreciate the movie way more than actually watching.
That's why I was like, when we were talking about it, when we watched it, we're like, it's kind of shitty how the making of made me like what they were doing in order to like their attempt was so much more fulfilling than the film's results were.
Right, their really, intentions were better than the movie.
I love their intentions. I wish I got more out of that making of than the film, and I'm like, I'm glad I watched that making of, because all the backstory, all the work that they put into everything, amazing, fantastic.
Yeah. Even just the stuff about how they made the CGI different so that it would work with all the natural lighting. Yeah, I thought was so cool to see how they were doing that. Which,
in a way, it's cool because now we can use that technology to push things further with the next types of films and stuff. One of the things that I did like about Eternals, not necessarily the Eternals themselves, but the way they showed the Celestials.
Yes, and the Celestials look cool, and it was kind of the most we've seen of them. Yeah. And I like, for what it's worth, I don't know how they're going to use it, but I like that it ended with the Celestial kind of coming out of the earth. Yeah. Although I was saying to somebody when we were watching it, I was saying, I feel like just even though it's just a hand and a head, I feel like just that coming out of the earth would be cataclysmic to the earth. Absolutely. It would do crazy shit. A volcano going off causes tsunamis and shit. Oh, yeah. What happens if a creature bigger than the earth starts coming out of the earth? That's got to do wild shit.
It's got to do something to the actual environment around it. So like
I'm
the
really
planet, the ecosystem is shifted because of that. Yeah. But it's a cool it's a cool visual.
It is incredibly cool. Yeah. And we were talking off cam before, and I was saying that in the comics the Avengers make a base inside of the body of a Celestial.
Tight.
And so I was like, if they end up doing that in the MCU, it'd be cool, just because I want to see what the inside of that looks like. I want to see how they're going to work that into an Avengers base. But yeah, Eternals is cool. The making is better.
Making is better. Watch the making. Honestly, it's weird. I'm like, if I just watched the making and not have seen the film, I probably would have liked the Eternals.
That's what I'm saying. Maybe just watch the making if you haven't seen the movie.
It's on Disney Plus. So you got Disney Plus, just watch that.
There you go.
After that was Hawkeye.
Christmas. I liked Hawkeye. I liked Hawkeye quite a bit.
I loved it.
I was expecting it to be kind of the nothing of the shows they put out.
A filler. I thought it was going to be a filler.
Right. And I think it might have been my favorite of the shows. I think it was my favorite of the shows because I just thought the pacing was great. I thought the Kate Bishop character was handled really, really well.
Excellent.
The introduction of Elena into the story and how she would fit in was handled pretty well. Echo was handled really well. They never did the face, handprint on the face. I was like, they found a perfect moment to do it, and they didn't do it.
Yeah.
I thought they were gonna do it when her dad dies.
Yep.
And he gets stabbed. I was like, I thought he was gonna be holding his gut or something, and and just touch her face and the bloody handprint. And I was like, that's cool as shit if she works that into her character. Never did it.
That's fine. But she was a cool character.
She was cool. Randomly missing a leg now, even though that's not a part of her story. I think that was more to do with the actress they picked.
I think it's cool, man.
I think it was cool and it worked out. They used it in the fights, even having her like block stuff with it, or like people punch it and hurt themselves. Also, it was cool. It was a cool addition to the character, and she's getting her own show now.
Good for her. And Kingpin.
And Kingpin shows up. Wouldn't have seen that coming at all. And they were building up to the Kingpin thing so well that people started to be like, hey, brother, I think they're going to start putting a Kingpin in this motherfucker because there's so many connections. How can they not do it?
Exactly. Who else could it be?
But the same thing happened to people with WandaVision, with thinking Mephisto was going to be in every episode, and then it didn't happen.
I kind of love that joke in the end. It's like, it's Mephisto in the end of the day.
Right.
So it's going to get to a point where I'm like, it's going to be Mephisto. And they're like, oh, shit, it's actually Mephisto.
At some point, they're going to have to do it. But yeah, I thought it was really well handled. Kingpin was the only thing at the end. They scared me a little bit, and I was like, why would you do that? I thought they insinuated Echo kills him.
Yeah.
I was unaware that there is a Kingpin story in the books because I read a lot of comics, but I don't read them all. Mm-hmm. I didn't know that there was a story in the books where Kingpin gets shot in the face, and it just makes him go blind. He turns away or something, and the Flash blinds him or something.
So is permanent blindness now or no?
I think he was blind for like a good 2 or 3 years of the comic books, and then they figured out a way to fix it. Cool. Some crazy surgery or something. They always
at this point in MCU, if he's just blind in one eye, fine.
I think they'll have him be blind. I think they're gonna have him be blind as the starting point for now. He's the villain. We're bringing Daredevil back,
which is awesome.
Oh man, I couldn't believe when he showed up.
Dude.
In our next thing we're talking about, Spider-Man No Way Home, which we already did an entire review for, so we'll just say
last week.
Loved it. There was a connection between Hawkeye and Spider-Man No Way Home. They showed the musical posters everywhere. They both take place around Christmas. So these two, the movie and show, are the only ones that they've given us where we like those two connect somehow, like time-wise. We know where those two fit. The other shows, not so sure where they fit in the timeline.
And I'm sure we'll find out eventually. We know that the upcoming Doctor Strange film takes place after WandaVision, obviously.
We know it's after, but we don't know how far after.
We don't know. Well, we also know that it takes place after No Way Home, though.
Exactly, because he's dealing with the consequences of that. So we're back to at least them coming out in a chronological order.
But what a time! Like, we obviously talked about all the Phase 4 so far. It's been a wild bloody ride.
It has been wild.
We got a variety.
We're up to current with Moon Knight, another character I never thought we would see in live action.
I think we'll definitely. I think we should do an episode.
Want to do that one proper?
Yeah, we'll do that one proper. Yeah, but
Moon Knight just proper Moon Knight reveal. It's out.
Yeah, it's out, and we'll talk about episode 1 and 2 on the next one for sure.
I think the quick version that I'll say from Moon Knight is I enjoyed it.
I liked it a lot.
So yeah, that has been the entirety of Phase 4 thus far. And wow, can you believe all of that in the last 2 years?
As viewers, the people who are still watching, thank you. But what of the Phase 4 so far has been your favorite?
Right, and we'll do those separately. What was your favorite on the movie side, and what has been your favorite on the TV side? Because they're vastly different for me.
And which one kind of disappointed you, really?
What didn't live up to the hype?
Right, like whether it's based on expectations or just it just didn't deliver.
Do you have a favorite of the Phase 4?
That's tricky because honestly, I feel like I enjoyed. I mean, I'm not going to include No Way Home because I loved that one. But that one was kind of its own event.
It really was.
You know what I
Did
mean?
feel like it did kind of feel like Spider-Man Endgame.
It was, but it fit within MCU Phase 4, but just its own thing. I probably enjoyed the television stuff more. However, as far as the movies, in the movies, Shang-Chi was my favorite of the ones that, you know, not including Spider-Man. I had a really good time. I think I've watched that several times now. It's just a fun film. It's just a fun film. We're seeing stuff that we hadn't seen prior to it. But yeah, the fight scene in the end was kind of like, I'm gonna ride a dragon. It's CG.
And I hope we somehow get to the one. I was never a huge Shang-Chi fan. He was Shang-Chi. That's how much of a fan I was.
Shang-Chi, yeah.
Yeah. And Shang-Chi, the one thing I knew about him from the books was that he trained Spider-Man in the Way of the Spider. He made up a martial art for Spider-Man called the Way of the Spider.
You would love that, wouldn't you?
It was sick as fuck. I thought it was a cool story.
You would love if
Spider-Man
they do
lost
that.
his spider sense. If they get to the point where Shang-Chi and Spider-Man are just having a conversation, that's a win.
Dude, yeah.
But if he teaches him how to fight, even better.
I'll take it. I'll take at this point, I will take any interaction, whether it's big or small, with a lot of these characters.
Yeah, I just want to see how the weird roster of characters that we're starting to get, how they all collide. When that happens, can't wait to view it.
Do you have a favorite from the Phase 4 so far?
I think Spider-Man No Way Home was my favorite of the movies for obvious reasons.
Same here.
Spidey dude. And Hawkeye, I think, on the show side was my favorite.
Hawkeye was
surprisingly. I really wouldn't have called
that
it.
one was shockingly way fun. It felt the most consistent.
Yeah. Although I did watch WandaVision again with someone who hadn't seen it, and very enjoyable viewing experience.
It is. No.
With someone who hadn't watched it.
WandaVision is just a fun time.
Oh, yeah.
It's a really fun time, especially like when you don't know what to expect. But even having seen on the second viewing, you're like, they did a really good job with this.
They really did. So it's hard for me to say between WandaVision and Hawkeye on the shows. Those are both neck and neck. I think Hawkeye just had such great pacing that I put that one slightly forward. But WandaVision as just a thing that happened, I'm baffled that happened.
I agree.
Yeah, that's it, guys. The MCU Phase 4, we ran it all down.
Phase 4 so far.
So far,
so far.
From what I looked at, that's only like half.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, so we got a bonkers year and a half coming up.
I look forward to when we eventually record an episode where we're talking about the multiverse of madness, because I know we're going to have a lot to talk. And you know what, dude? It's a month away, because I'm in April already.
It's true. I'm starting to sweat just thinking about how much I want that movie.
Dude, I can't wait. So and the thing is, I know I don't want to. I'd like to go to things with an open expectation, like no expectation.
Try not to hype yourself.
Yeah, but I don't know how this film's gonna fail for me.
I don't know. Like my only thing is I'm expecting everything. So. That's the only way I can disappoint myself. Right. It's just building up the movie in my head before I get there.
Give me the MCU in one film now.
Right.
Not just MCU. I want everything they've ever done. Ever.
Exactly. Like, bro, I'll be satisfied, honestly, if most of the cameos we see are just in between shots of, Doctor Strange floating around going, and his head turning into bulbs or whatever. If that's where we see like a Deadpool washing himself or something like that, it's just as we're going by, fine with it. Fine with it. I just want to see everything.
Because to me, that's kind of like, again, that's kind of it. You don't need to do a lot of things.
It's true.
Because I still want the focus to be about Doctor Strange and Wanda and the multiverse. It doesn't have to be, we have to show all these things to make it work. Right. It's like that should only elevate this film. It shouldn't be the focus of.
I agree.
But I'm hyped. And I look forward to that. So we'll definitely record that when we've seen the film, when it's out. But next episode is going to be
hopefully you guys stay anticipating like we do. And the next one, I guess we'll just do a full episode on Moon Knight, right?
First 2 episodes, I think, because at that point...
First 2.
Yeah, first 2.
So until that one, stay chipper, chaps.
Stay chipper.